The just concluded presidential and national assembly elections has become a reference point in the political history of the country. Reactions have continued to treat the voting exercise. The international observers described the electoral process as the one that was fraught with irregularities but conducted under a peaceful atmosphere. Some other stakeholders, political stakeholders, said that the election was well conducted while lauding the electoral process, while other groups' position says that there's no perfect election in the world. On the program today, let's discuss. We shall be examining the just concluded presidential and national assembly elections. And to do that, I want to inform you that I am Adibare Ejimakide, and I have my co-presenter in the studio with me here.
Yes, thank you so much. My name is Oluchi Amuda. Thank you for joining us on today's edition of Let's Discuss. Yes, as you rightly said, there has been diverse reactions trailing the just concluded presidential and national assembly elections. Yes, we are also expecting another round of elections in few days on the 11th of March to be precise, where we'll be having the governorship election in some states as well as the State House of Assembly elections. Yes, we have a guest in the house. He's also one of the observers at the just concluded presidential and national assembly elections. He will be sharing his experience and also be sharing ideas with us on how Nigeria's electoral process would be strengthened for future elections. Yes, who is our guest?
Yes, our guest on the program today, like she has just rightly said, is an observer in the just concluded electoral process, the presidential and national assembly elections. It is my pleasure introducing to you Pastor Sola Akande. Is the Chief of Staff to the Zonal Chairman, Police Community Relations Committee, Zone 11, comprises of Oyo and Osun. Pastor Sola Akande, you're welcome on the program.
You're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Yes, all the way from Ibadan. You monitored the election, right?
Yes, I monitored the election in Osun.
Okay.
I was an observer in Osun, and I was privileged to monitor it in Orolu local government, Irepodun local government, Oloruda and Osogbo in Osun State.
Okay. Let's start with the logistic put in place by the electoral body. What is your observations?
Looking at the logistic, my observation is that to some extent it was not that perfect, because INEC, for moving around electoral materials, they have to depend on NURTW and also some other private commercial vehicles, which it is good, but it's not good enough.
I wanted to ask that, is there anything wrong with
yes,
that?
What do you think INEC should have done in that kind of situation?
Well, I feel that generally, we have state governments, local government and federal governments, and even parastatals that have their vehicles. Okay. I think maybe in future elections, they should have used those vehicles and their drivers. Where it's not enough, then they could then augment with those of NURTW, not totally depending on those ones.
Does that one signal any message to the nation using the NURTW as a means of transportation?
I didn't quite get what you mean by that question.
What I'm saying is that they use the staff of NURW for the deployment of materials
Yes.
to various places
Yeah.
of voting. So I'm not saying, because some people, you remember that some people have already frowned at that idea. I'm not asking that is anything wrong in using them for that exercise. Does this signal any bias? Is there any bias or anything?
Personally, I don't see anything wrong there. But where people are complaining is that NURTW, to some extent, they are political.
Okay.
So those that are against are those that maybe their political party doesn't have strong affiliation to them, and those that are in support, they are those that have strong affiliation to them. But like I said, using government vehicles, it will give neutrality, to it, and people will have more confidence in INEC.
Okay.
You've made your point.
You talked about using government vehicle.
Yes.
Now, if a particular government is ruling in the state, do you think the opposition would be comfortable with using government vehicle? Do you think the opposition will be comfortable with it?
I want to believe that our electoral system is evolving.
Okay.
What we have presently is that the trust is not entirely there. Because if we compare our democracy with that of the United States, you will also see that even in their electoral college, it is the states, which may not be the government in power, that also may conduct their election. But as time goes on, we will get there in Nigeria.
Okay. Now, apart from the logistic issues now, what were other things you observed on the election day?
Yes. Okay. On that day, from places where I visited, it was peaceful, and I can say to some extent it was fair.
Okay.
Being an observer, I also voted. I voted early in my own polling unit, and it didn't take me more than 5 minutes, even less than 5 minutes, before I was able to do it. So I can say that to some extent, the beavers in most places I visited worked well, as at the time I was there. And the polling agents too of various political parties, they were there on time, even well ahead before the INEC officials. So then another thing I also observed, and which I also want to commend the voters, is that despite all the challenges that we have in the nation, challenges of no cash and also challenges of fuel, people also came out, to exercise their voting franchise, which is good. Then I also observe that our people, they are getting more enlightened. Gradually, we are moving from the time whereby if any party, just put any non-entity on the ballot box, people are actually looking at the candidates, to vote. So I observed that in areas where I went, because, as an observer, when you look at what is going on, you also listen to people discussing.
Yes, you were saying something about the logistic put in place by the electoral body. Let's examine the deployment of sensitive and non-sensitive materials, the arrival at the polls, and even the INEC officials. How will you rate their punctuality at various polling units which you observe?
Generally, within that, federal constituency, I think I will rate them very good, but not excellent.
Okay.
So you notice some shortcomings.
Yes.
Can you explain?
No, area of improvement. Perhaps your advice.
Exactly.
Yes.
The shortcomings you noticed and how
advice in
it can be improved upon.
In the area of the logistics, the thing, my observation is that the vehicles that they are going to use, they should make sure that they are good. They shouldn't be vehicles that will disappoint them at the time they were about to move, because there are few areas where that happened.
Okay.
So that's why I say I can't give them excellent.
The vehicles must be in good condition.
Yes, the vehicle must be in good condition.
All right, sir. And you have your members too in other constituencies that monitor the election. Have you been able to compare notes?
Not really.
Okay.
Not really, because for example, not much of our members are used. We are just unpicked nationwide.
All right. Okay. All right. And let's look at the issue of the beavers now, because then INEC made us to understand that if the beavers is unable to identify your fingerprint, you could actually use facial recognition.
Yes.
But there are some cases where people complain that their fingerprint were not found and their face too was not recognized by the beavers. Did you encounter any of such during your monitoring exercise?
Yes, it happens occasionally.
Okay.
Because generally electronics device do fail, is not 100% perfect. For example, when I wanted to vote, because like I said, I also voted. When I got there, it was my face that was used.
Okay.
So I was asked to remove my glasses. I removed it because it wasn't, I didn't use my glasses when they took my picture, on the voter's card. And instantly, it recognized me. So there's no need for me to do the fingerprinting.
Okay.
But there are some other people I observe, while going around, that it may not recognize their face, but it will recognize their fingerprints. And there are even few that will not even recognize them at all. So, and there are about 3 or 4 occasions whereby people have to go and come back, after he didn't recognize them, but at the end of the day, the machine recognized them.
Okay, so the keyword there is patience.
Yes.
If you don't get recognized, hold on, it will still work out. But let's look at the place of technology in this election. How do you think it has helped improve the electoral process?
Oh, I want to believe that to some extent it has, because in the past, we always witness ballot snatching.
Okay.
But in this election, it has been very minimal, and what people are, we also had reports of some even trying to even steal the beavers. But at the end of the day, when it's not useful to them, they recover them. So then the only area, the major area where I think the INEC should improve upon is where the national chairman, promised that he will upload the results into the portal.
Okay. The IREV portal.
Yes, INEC portal, and which was not done well on time. Although they give an excuse that their portal was hacked upon. Maybe that's the reason, but we are yet to get their own final report on the election.
Okay, was there attempt to load the results electronically at the polling units after the end of the results at the elections, after counting?
At the polling
At the
units,
polling units level, was there an attempt? Did you observe whether?
I did not witness anyone.
Okay. All right. Now, what's your take on the comportment of the electorates at the polls?
No,
Their conduct.
the electorates, they really comported themselves very well.
How orderly are they?
They were very orderly. They were very orderly. Majorly in the places I went, they were orderly. They were patient enough, and they were also well attended to. At least within the federal constituencies that I visited.
Okay, but this wouldn't be the first time you will be monitoring elections, right? Now, can you compare the ones that we had last, the one we recently conducted, and the last one that was in 2019?
Yes.
Can you do a bit of comparative?
Do you observe any shortcomings and areas of improvement?
First of all, like in the past elections, and even this last one, there are always fears of violence, before the election.
Okay.
But the one for this one is that, despite the fact that there were fears before the election, but during the elections, it was peaceful. So those fears got erased. Then the only area, I think there are two instances whereby, after the election, when the INEC officials, they were about going with the result to the collation center, the security agents that accompanied them, when they witness movements of likelihood of people trying to snatch the result, they shot into the air.
Okay.
And everybody just scrambled and they went, safely. So I will just want to advise that for future, elections,
Okay.
INEC should prepare well enough. And also, another thing I also noticed in this election, far from the past ones, is that in the past election, especially the last but one, INEC always have generators at the collating centers, that in case maybe the counting goes into the night, they can put on light. That is not so common in this present one.
Okay. All right. Now, let's look at the security institutions and the electoral process at the collation centers. You have just mentioned some of the things that went. In the past, the collation centers I witnessed, there was massive security around. Even the electoral process went smoothly all throughout the night until the exercise is completed. What's your take on the security situations during the just concluded poll, from the beginning to the end?
I think this one is a lot better, and I give kudos to the security agents, because unlike before, the security agents, they look biased.
Okay.
But generally in this one, they were just transparent, just doing their duties.
They display professionalism.
Yes, professionalism. So if they can keep it up, then it's going to be good for the nation.
Okay.
And I think that will have to do maybe with their organ from the top. Because, security agents, they are there to instructions given to them.
Okay. Now, when you were on the field, prior to the election, INEC had assured people with disabilities, pregnant women, the elderly, nursing mothers that there will be more of priority voting, that once they get to the polling units, they wouldn't have to wait at all. They will just be allowed to vote. Were you able to observe any of such in the polling units you visited?
Virtually all the places I visited, there was no such plans for them.
Wow.
Virtually all the places I visited. So although I wouldn't know why they couldn't do that, but INEC should be able to explain to the nation why they promised that and they couldn't.
Okay, what was your advice to them, to the electoral body, against the next election?
Yes, my advice to them is that they should prepare very well and also make sure that the vulnerable ones amongst us and also the elderly, they should be given priority voting. Right. And maybe what is responsible for that is that they didn't have separate, INEC officials designated for such people.
Okay, do you think they should have?
Yes, they should have done that.
Okay.
Although that will be an added budget.
Are you advocating for a special
yes
for such?
Yes, there should be. There should be, because they are also citizens of Nigeria, and that they should be treated well.
And do you think in terms of personnel now, do you think INEC could be able to afford that, having a separate personnel that will handle the vulnerable groups?
Yes, they should. Yes,
it means they will be in all the polling units. Because the polling unit is not supposed to be far from the vulnerable groups, right?
Yes. Yes, they should be able to, okay. Because it's just an additional budget. So, and it's not INEC itself that generates funds.
Okay.
It's the federal government that gives them funds. So they should ask for it, and where they ask and the budget is not given to them, then they should be able to come out. But this time around, we were being told is that all what they asked for were given to them. So,
okay, you observe that despite the socio-economic challenges facing the country, occasioned by the new Naira redesign, people trooped to polls to participate in the electoral process, and there was impressive turnout. What factors could be attributed to that impressive turnout?
I think what is responsible for that is that people now, are now aware that their votes matters, and that they now know that if any government is not doing well, they can vote that government out. And if any government is doing well, then with their votes, they can still retain the government in power.
So they are where they have the power.
Yes, they are where they have the power. And also, like the results where, we've always, we had from various states, there are some even sitting governors that contested to go to the Senate and they lost. So, which in the past, it doesn't happen that way. So, that is a sign to all these elected legislators that if they don't do well, it's just a matter of 4 years. If they can't recall them, then they will be voted out. So they have to do well.
All right. The election, as rightly said, witnessed a lot of surprises. Some states that have been the stranglehold of some particular political parties for decades, actually, got taken over by another party. And some personalities also. There was also a case of an Okada rider that won an election without poster and anything. Now, with this pattern of voting that was witnessed, and the recently concluded election, where do you think, what do you think the future holds for democracy in Nigeria?
I think the future of democracy in Nigeria is great, because from the look of things, people are now aware of their rights, and also they know that if you are a legislator, or you are a governor, or even be you a president, if you don't perform well, no matter the power you may think you have, you can be voted out. It's just a matter of 4 years. So I think for our nation, Nigeria, by the time we have another round of election, it's going to be a lot better than this one. But people just need to be patient with all they have, all the people they have elected, and also like the legislators, they are nearer to their constituents. So I will advise them that they should not be far to them, to listen to what they have, what they need, and by that they should also take whatever they need, to the government in power up there.
All right. In the areas you covered, did you observe any traces of overvoting or cancellation of results? What were the reasons given for such, if there is any?
There are few places where results were cancelled. In areas whereby the number of accredited voters in the beavers is more than the number of votes. Okay. Such areas, they cancel the votes. And what I feel might happen, because you won't stay in one polling booth throughout the period. So maybe there are some people that beavers could not capture, and because they could identify them with their voters card and their name is on the voters register, they now allow them to vote. So such votes will amount to overvoting, and that is bypassing the technology, and using that, it will only render the votes of that polling unit useless, because at the end of the day they will cancel everything there.
Now, is that the position of the electoral law, at least for the people to understand the process at home? Is that in tune with the stipulations of the electoral law? They overvoting because they didn't succumb to electronic accreditations and authentications.
I think there's a difference between the law and the electoral guideline. Okay. So I think what I just explained is the position of the electoral guideline.
Okay.
Exactly.
So
I just want you to educate the people.
Yes.
Okay. Now, for the ad hoc staff to have allowed such people to vote, do you think they were not properly schooled in that area? Because if the INEC chairman before the election has announced it several times that if you are not able to get accredited with the beavers, there is no need for you to vote. Do you think he didn't say it enough for the ad hoc staff to have allowed those that were not accredited to vote, resulting into overvoting? Or would you say it could have been as a result of pressure from the party agents?
I wouldn't say that the INEC officials at the top have not tutored them enough.
Okay.
Because at least some of us that are even observers, we know what their guidelines are. So, and that they should even know better. So maybe it's due to the pressure from the, electorate, those that wants to vote.
Okay.
But it should serve as a lesson, to voters in future.
Okay.
And to everybody that if we are still going to use this type of technology, if you are not captured, you should not force yourself to vote, because it will render the votes in that polling unit cancelled.
Okay, let's look at the place of voter education now. When do you think it should start? Because I'm sure that if the voters are, sound enough about the guidelines and what they are getting themselves into, if overvoting occurs, that they would not, the party agents, for instance, wouldn't want to force the ad hoc staff to actually allow those that have not been accredited to vote. Where is the place of voter education in all this? When should it start? Should it be a few weeks, few days to election before all the stakeholders involved in voter education start telling the people what to do or how to go about voting?
I will advise, and I feel that voters' education should start now. One, government should pump enough money to National Orientation Agency.
Okay.
So because they have offices in all the local governments of the federation, and that local governments, they are nearer to the people, so they should be able to be educating people. But one, funding, then also giving them enough staff. Then even apart from that, the parties too, various political parties, they also have a role to play, in educating voters. Theirs may be maybe a year towards the period of the election. Okay. But for National Orientation Agency, it should be now. It should be their job, to educate the Nigerian populace how to vote, and also to let them know that voting is their civic right, is a civic responsibility. And if you don't vote, then you are also denying the nation your responsibility. And if you want to put it, you shouldn't even have right to even complain, because when you have the opportunity to exercise your franchise, you did not do that. So, because if we look at the number of voters is far less than the number of those that are in the voters register. So if, let's say, 90% people have voted, the result might not even be what we have now. So we have more people that did not even vote than those that have voted.
So what do you think could have been responsible for that?
Well,
voter apathy.
Voter apathy, then it may even be that names of people that are dead and that have registered, over years.
They needed to be expunged. From
yes, and there's no way INEC could know that. So because since the time we've been voting, they have compiled all these voters registered. A lot of people have died, and their names will still continue to be there.
All right. There are some issues that election should not be a war, especially when the results are being declared. Some people resort to violence. What's your view about that? That election should not be a war. Your advice to Nigerians?
Well, my fellow Nigerians, my advice is that election should not be a war. It's a game, and that in any competition there will always be a winner and there will be a loser or losers. So it is an opportunity for those that have lost to look at areas of their shortcomings and then prepare for next time. For those that have won, well, it's a burden on them to not disappoint those that have voted them into power. Because if they don't perform, it's just a matter of 4 years, they could be voted out. So, so far so good now. We're enjoying the peace. Although there's no, we have not seen so much jubilation around. Maybe it's a factor of hunger that is in the land presently. No one can know, but I will just advise those that have been elected to not disappoint the nation. So they have a burden on them, and we also as citizens, we also have our duty, to also support them. So I wish Nigeria as a whole good luck.
Thank you so much. In a couple of days now, there will be another election. Now, when the results of this one was being announced, a lot of people raised issues that INEC actually promised Nigerians that the results will be uploaded into the IREF, the INEC portal, where everybody will be able to see it. But it did not happen. And some have actually come out to say that INEC owes Nigerians an explanation. Do you think the inability of INEC to do that would affect the turnout of voters in the next election, which is some days away?
I don't see it affecting INEC because...
No, not affecting INEC, participation of voters.
Okay, I don't see it affecting participation of voters.
Okay.
How do I mean? Because this next election is an election that is electing people, that is electing people that are nearer to the people. Okay. For example, people in the state assembly and also the governor. Okay. So my advice is that the electorate, they should even take it more serious than even this one. Although it's not that the last one is not serious, but they should not say because they have voted into the presidency and also the National Assembly, this one is equally as important as that one. So what I expect is that people should come out more even than the last one, because now we can see that the security has improved, and which I also believe that it will also be better than the one of last Saturday.
Okay. All right. Let's examine some scenarios that emerged during the electoral process. We saw a resident electoral commissioner of the state, whereby he said he's being threatened, his life is being threatened while trying to declare the results. Then we also saw some political stakeholders protesting at the National Coalition Center. What is your take on all this? In case of the resident electoral commissioner that said his life is under threat, does he have the right to resign immediately, or what is proper to be done?
Well, on that, what is to be done, I think, is left for the rec, for him to decide what to do on that. Then, but what I expect is that it should not just die down there. I expect the security agents to investigate, who and who threatened his life, and they should be brought to book. Then the second
protest at the national.
Yes, is their will. Everybody is free, because we all cannot see things the same way. They are expressing the way they have seen it. So, and and I think they are entitled to it.
Okay.
Some are saying that they ought to have lodged their complaint at the previous collation center before getting to the national collation centers.
Well, that is also the way those people have seen it. So, and they are, I mean, that's the way they have seen it. But if I want to express my own opinion,
Okay.
I will say that they should have done that before, at the collation center, that, because it's like, medicine after death.
Okay.
All right, so you said earlier that all over the world, you cannot have perfect elections. Now, what do you think, or what are the areas you think INEC can improve upon in the local government, the governorship and National State House of Assembly elections? What are the things you think they did that they did not do good enough, or the things they should improve upon in the next election that's coming up in a couple of days?
Like the election that is coming on the 11th of March, in Osun State is going to be state House of Assembly election. So I will expect INEC to ensure that all their staff, both the ad hoc and their permanent staff, they get to the polling units on time. And prior to that, the distribution of electoral materials should be done on time, and that the security agents should also ensure that they accompany them to their polling units. And apart from that, all over the states, security agents should ensure that security is tightened so that there won't be any violence. So, like I said earlier, we are not at war.
Okay.
We are voting, to elect people that will represent us. So let us do everything peacefully. And at the end of the day, our states and Nigeria in general will be better for it.
Okay. What is the essence of signing the peace accord? Prior to the presidential and national assembly elections, political candidates, they met, they signed peace accord. What's the essence of signing that peace accord? Does it bind on the contestants?
And has it been achieved? This won't be the first time they will be signing this peace accord. Do you think the motive actually been achieved?
I will want to say that comparing this election to the past ones, the motive of the peace accord has been achieved to some extent.
Okay.
Because since the result have been announced, we have not witnessed or heard of any violence anywhere. Although there are pockets of protests, which is normal, but there has not been any issue of violence. And I think it has to do with the political leaders, their statements, and also their body language, to the people, to their followers. So I will give kudos to all of them, because if it were to be in the past, we will have been hearing so many messages which would have aggravated people, to be on the road.
All right, thank you very much. Now, one issue that has been a sort of concern to many is the issue of fake news. When the election results were being announced state by state, the social media was inundated with all types of results. Some allege that some of the results are 2019 results, some 2015 and all that. What do you think the security agencies should be doing in the fight against fake news?
Well, I think there are laws that bans, that controls our social media. Maybe we will look more into it, and even more than that, we have to appeal to ourselves that before we post anything, we should verify the authenticity of what we are sharing. Because, I mean, there are some people, they just want to be the first, to post any news they see. And it may not be the correct news. So I think that is what is responsible to that. And generally, there are people that are into that, not only in Nigeria anyway. So it's all over the world, but the law is more stringent over there than here.
Okay, let's look at the engagement of the core members in the elections. Some of them serve as ad hoc staff during the electoral process. We see that their involvement in the electoral process has brought credence to the voting system in the country.
Yes, I would say yes, it has. Apart from that, it has, it's also an experience to those of them that participated. Although they are serving the nation, also doing that to give them an experience, and I to some extent, I think it has.
Now, the presidential National Assembly elections have been concluded, results announced. Now, those that have won the elections, what is a message to them?
My message to those that have won the election is that they should be magnanimous in victory. Then also to their followers too, they should not even be going about, in rejoicing by also annoying the people in the opposing side that have lost. So I will say that, like I mentioned earlier on, is a call to service and is a responsibility that the voters have given to them. So they should perform very well. And also, what they should do is that even if they see some of those that have lost in the opposing party that have ideas that can take our nation to greater heights, they should extend a hand of friendship to them, to bring them in. And also, to those that have lost too, they should not say because they have lost whatever good ideas that they have for the nation, they shouldn't say that they are not going, that they will keep it because it's not their party. We should all remember that Nigeria belongs to all of us.
So if they are brought in, what will now be the place of opposition? Who will be keeping the ruling government on its toe?
No, definitely not all of them that will come in.
Okay.
So definitely not all of them. Then also even keeping the party in power on the, keeping them on their toes. We have civil society organizations.
Okay.
We also have the fourth realm too. The journalists are there. Then even the masses are even there. To advise, to complain, to criticize. So not only the opposition.
Okay, what should be the voting pattern of the electorate towards enhancing the unity of the country? Some people claim that the voting pattern is along ethnicity, religion, line, or whatever. What's your take?
Well, my take on that is that I know that as time goes on, that one will wither away. Because if people see good governance and it continues like that, nobody will want to look at whether this one is from my tribe or is from my faith, So what I will preach is that anybody that is in government, they should give us good governance.
Okay, now when you talk about good governance, tell us exactly what it entails.
Good governance in terms of providing what is needed, then again, I don't have to know anybody that is in power before I'm able to get my rights from the government.
Okay.
So my community, my townsman doesn't have to be in government because what is entitled to my area is given to me. That is good governance.
Okay, what is your advice to the electoral body as the gubernatorial election is fast approaching? The previous, just concluded presidential and national assembly elections, there were cases that INEC official was not even seen at the polling unit. So, and there was also cases that said allegations that the name of a particular party was not on the ballot paper. What's your advice to them?
My advice to them is that they should buckle up where they have failed in the past just concluded election. They should quickly correct themselves and also ensure that this election is better than the last one, because we Nigerians, when someone has done something bad, when we see a good one, we easily forget the...
Okay, thank you very much. Because this is the confident point on the program. We have been extracting the just concluded presidential and national assembly elections. And this is the parting point on the program. I am Adebare Ijimakide and our producer.
My name is Oluchi Amuda, but before we go, I want to say a very big thank you to Pastor Sola Akande for making it to the program all the way from Ibadan. Thank you for enlightening the public about issues surrounding the election and sharing your observations with us at the areas you monitored during the election. Thank you once again for coming to the program. Yes, the producer of this program
is my pleasure.
Akinola Owolabi, and the executive producer is Rashid Olanomi.
Until next time when we come your way, keep enjoying the rest of our programs. Bye-bye.